Taehyung and Jungkook reportedly turned BTS's Day 1 Soundcheck at Rogers Stadium in Toronto into a moment that felt straight out of a romantic drama. What began as a routine rehearsal quickly caught fans' attention as the two appeared especially close and comfortable around each other. Their small interactions, shared smiles, and natural chemistry became some of the most talked about moments among fans watching the soundcheck. As the members moved around the stage, Taehyung and Jungkook seemed to repeatedly find themselves near each other. At several moments, their expressions and body language sparked excited reactions from ARMY, with fans describing the atmosphere as unexpectedly warm and emotional, even without a major performance moment. Their subtle interactions were enough to make the soundcheck feel more intimate than anyone expected. Social media reactions quickly followed, with fans sharing clips and screenshots of the duo's interactions from the Toronto soundcheck. Some fans jokingly compared the moments to scenes from a romantic drama, while others simply enjoyed seeing the two BTS members having fun together. Of course, interpretations of body language and fan reactions are subjective, and the moments themselves do not confirm any romantic relationship. What made the atmosphere even more memorable was how naturally Taehyung and Jungkook appeared to interact while surrounded by thousands of excited fans. Their smiles and playful energy added a different kind of charm to the rehearsal, turning what could have been an ordinary sound check into a moment ARMY will likely remember for a long time. And if Day 1 Soundcheck already created this much excitement, one question was left hanging in the air. What could Taehyung and Jungkook possibly do next when the actual BTS concert finally began? Toronto ARMY had barely recovered from the soundcheck moments, and the night was only getting started. During BTS's Day 1 Soundcheck at Rogers Stadium in Toronto, one particular moment between Taehyung and Jungkook quickly became a major talking point among fans. As the two appeared to look at each other across the stage, they seemed to exchange a smile that instantly caught everyone's attention. One glance was enough to send the crowd into a frenzy, with fans reacting as if they had just witnessed a scene straight out of a romantic drama. What made the moment feel even more cinematic was the contrast between the atmosphere around them and the seemingly quiet interaction they shared. Thousands of ARMY were cheering loudly, creating an overwhelming wave of sound throughout the stadium. Yet for a brief moment, Taehyung and Jungkook appeared focused on each other, making the scene feel strangely calm in the middle of all the excitement. Then came the smiles. Taehyung's expression appeared to soften as Jungkook looked in his direction, while Jungkook seemed to respond with a smile of his own. There was no need for a dramatic gesture or big performance move. The simple exchange was enough to make fans lose their minds. Online, some fans described the moment as having the exact atmosphere of a slow motion scene from a Korean romance drama. The reaction from ARMY only made the moment feel bigger. Cheers grew louder as fans noticed the interaction, while clips and screenshots quickly became the kind of content people wanted to replay, frame by frame. Some fans playfully interpreted the exchange as having romantic drama energy, although what the two BTS members were actually thinking or feeling cannot be known from a brief moment on stage, and perhaps that was what made the scene so memorable. In a stadium filled with thousands of people, two simple glances and shared smiles managed to create a moment that felt unexpectedly intimate and cinematic. Whether fans saw it as nothing more than a sweet interaction between close BTS members or something worthy of their favorite theories, one thing was clear. That single glance had Toronto ARMY talking, and the soundcheck had only just begun. During BTS's Day 1 Soundcheck at Rogers Stadium in Toronto, another moment involving Jungkook and Taehyung caught fans completely off guard. While the other members appeared busy with their own activities on stage, Jungkook seemed to move closer toward Taehyung. It was a simple moment, but the sudden change in distance immediately grabbed the attention of ARMY watching the soundcheck. As Jungkook approached, fans began reacting almost instantly. What made it stand out was how naturally he appeared to gravitate toward Taehyung while the rest of the stage remained full of activity. From the audience's perspective, the timing made the interaction feel almost cinematic. as if Jungkook had intentionally chosen that particular moment to stand beside him. For a few seconds, the two appeared to share the same space while the soundcheck continued around them. Fans watching from the stadium and online quickly focused on the pair, turning what might have been an ordinary stage movement into one of the most replayed moments of the rehearsal. Some fans jokingly described it as a romantic drama scene, while others simply enjoyed the members' close friendship and playful chemistry. But then came the unexpected plot twist. Just when fans thought the moment was over, Taehyung appeared to turn back, and Jungkook was already smiling. That tiny expression was enough to send another wave of excitement through ARMY, with fans replaying the moment and wondering what had made Jungkook smile at exactly that second. Of course, a brief interaction on stage cannot reveal what either member was actually thinking or feeling, and fan interpretations remain just that, interpretations. Still, the combination of Jungkook suddenly moving closer, Taehyung turning back, and that perfectly timed smile created a moment that felt straight out of a romantic drama. And with the actual concert still ahead, Toronto ARMY could only wonder what other unexpected moments might unfold next. The moment Taehyung and Jungkook appeared to share a smile during BTS's Day 1 Soundcheck at Rogers Stadium in Toronto quickly became the kind of clip fans wanted to watch again and again. As short videos circulated online, ARMY began filling social media with excited reactions, describing the interaction as unexpectedly sweet and cinematic. For many fans, the timing and expressions made the moment feel like something pulled directly from a Korean drama. Some fans jokingly wrote comments such as, "This feels like a K-drama," while others reacted with, "Why does this look like a romantic scene?" These comments reflected how strongly the moment resonated with viewers, especially those who enjoy the playful chemistry between the two members. Rather than being evidence of anything romantic, the reactions were simply fans, personal interpretations of a brief interaction captured during the soundcheck. What made the clip even more dramatic was the atmosphere surrounding it. With thousands of ARMY filling Rogers Stadium, the soundcheck was naturally filled with cheers, music, and movement. Yet when Taehyung and Jungkook appeared to exchange that smile, fans described the moment as feeling almost isolated from everything happening around them. For a few seconds, the noise seemed to disappear. Under the stadium lights, their smiles created a moment that felt strangely cinematic. If the scene had been filmed for a K-drama, fans joked it could easily have been the classic slow-motion moment where everything else fades into the background and the characters seemingly notice only each other. Of course, the romantic interpretation belongs to the fans, and a short clip cannot establish what either member was actually thinking or feeling. What can be said is that the moment generated a strong reaction and added another memorable layer to Toronto's Day 1 soundcheck. Whether fans saw it as friendship, playful chemistry, or simply two members sharing a smile, the cinematic feeling of those few seconds was enough to keep ARMY talking. Another moment during BTS's Day 1 soundcheck at Rogers Stadium in Toronto added even more drama to the growing excitement around Taehyung and Jungkook. As they appeared to move closer to each other on stage, fans noticed a brief, almost moment that seemed to happen in the middle of the rehearsal. They appeared to come close enough that some fans immediately wondered whether a hug or playful interaction might happen next. For a split second, the distance between them seemed noticeably smaller, creating the kind of tension that made fans instinctively wait for what would happen next. The surrounding members continued with the sound check, while Taehyung and Jungkook appeared to remain near each other. Nothing dramatic necessarily happened, but the possibility of a brief interaction was enough to make the moment feel surprisingly intense. Then, just as fans may have expected some kind of contact, the moment seemed to pass. There was no need for a confirmed hug or obvious physical gesture. The anticipation itself became the highlight. Fans watching clips online began replaying those few seconds, trying to capture exactly what happened and whether the two had actually come close enough to touch. The atmosphere quickly turned playful across social media. Some ARMY jokingly described the moment as a missed hug, while others called it a scene that needed slow motion and multiple replays. The excitement came from the uncertainty, rather than from any confirmed romantic gesture. After all, a brief stage, interaction can easily look more dramatic when viewed repeatedly from different angles. Ultimately, the almost moment remains just that, an interpretation of a fleeting interaction during soundcheck. There is no basis to claim that Taehyung and Jungkook intended to hug or that the moment had romantic meaning. But for fans watching from Toronto and online, that brief pause, close distance, and possibility of something happening created a perfectly timed piece of concert drama, and sometimes the moment that almost happens becomes the one everyone remembers. As BTS's Day 1 soundcheck at Rogers Stadium in Toronto continued, the moments between Taehyung and Jungkook left fans with one final question that seemed impossible to ignore. Their smiles, close proximity, and playful interactions created an atmosphere that some ARMY felt was almost too cinematic to be real. What might have been an ordinary soundcheck moment suddenly became one of the scenes fans were talking about the most. The stadium was still filled with energy, music, and thousands of excited ARMY, yet their brief interactions seemed to create a different kind of atmosphere. For a few seconds, the attention appeared to shift toward the two members, with fans watching closely to see whether another unexpected moment would happen. It was the kind of tension that made everyone wait for the next frame. Online, fans continued sharing their own interpretations. Some jokingly compared the chemistry to a romantic K-drama, while others simply described the interaction as adorable and memorable. Comments and reactions continued to appear as fans replayed the clips, looking for every smile, glance, and tiny movement that might explain why the moment felt so special. But the most important detail is that these are fan interpretations, not confirmation of a romantic relationship. Taehyung and Jungkook's actual thoughts or intentions cannot be determined from a few seconds of footage. What the footage can show is a brief interaction that many fans found entertaining, sweet, and unusually cinematic. So, was it simply two close friends enjoying a playful moment? Or was there something about their chemistry that made Toronto feel like the setting of a romance drama? Fans may have their theories, but the moment itself was impossible to ignore.